Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Prachi Singh, coordinator of this program. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you on the last day of this faculty development program. I would be glad to introduce our today's speaker, Professor R.M. Singh sir. Sir received his PhD degree from IIT Kanpur in the year 2004. He is currently working as professor in MNIT Allahabad. He has published more than 125 research papers, technical notes, book chapters, and books in the reputed journals. Also, he has guided more than 40 MTech and PhD theses. Sir is also involved as an expert or principal investigator in many esteemed research and consultancy projects of Government of India. He is a lifetime member of many professional societies like ASCE New York, ISH Pune, IWRS Roorkee, IAH Roorkee, and IAHS. Also, he is a corporate member of the Institution of Engineers. His research interest includes hydro-environmental system, soft computing and optimization, hydraulic structures, and conductive use and mathematical modeling of surface and groundwater. Today he is going to introduce us to the soft computing techniques for engineering problems. I will not take much of your time and would like to request Sir to spread the knowledge with all of us. Thank you, Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prachi Singh. Good morning to all the participants. I welcome all of you to my lecture, Soft Computing Technique for Engineering Problems. In engineering, education and research, role of computing technique is very important, already we know. Equally important is about understanding of the problem. So before I start my presentation, a perspective is required about what is engineering problem and then how to solve it using soft computing. So about engineering problem, or in general about the any problem we want to solve, first requirement is identification of the problem. Then formulation of the problem so that you can solve with any available techniques, and then find the solution of the problem. So how to identify the problem? So in that we need to know what are different types of problem in engineering in general. So first is whether it is a structured problem or unstructured problem. Unstructured problem means we need to structure it so that you can solve it. Then whether it is direct problem, that means whether there is cause and effect relationship between the system, or indirect problem, or another variety of the problem is of the indirect problem is inverse problem. So if I briefly introduce about the structure problem, or the problem which is well structured, well defined, like suppose as a civil engineer you want to design a building or make a road. So we have a certain knowledge. Depending upon that, you can design the building or you can design the roads. So this you can say a structure problem. But suppose there is crack in the building, then you cannot say it as a structure problem. You have to make it first a structured problem. What are causes? A crack in the building or in the road have lots of things that needs to be identified so that you can make it as a structure problem and you can solve with interesting techniques. So if problem is unstructured, you need to structure it. Similarly, about the nature of the problem, whether it is direct problem means whether there is cause and effect relationship. So if you know the causes, you try to find out the effect. That are direct problem. So but if you know the effect and try to find out the cause, then it becomes indirect problem, or in complicated way, it becomes inverse problem. So suppose there are certain loading, and depending upon that, you want to find out the deflection or deformation, or deformation, then this is direct problem. But if you know the deflection and you want to find out the loading, then it becomes indirect problem or inverse problem, which are visually difficult to solve because you may not get the unique solution. So there are lots of examples of direct problem, indirect problem. Basic is that if you know the cause, find out the effect due to that cause, you can consider it as a direct problem. But if you know the effect, in case of contamination also, if you know certain contamination or pollution scenario and want to find out the sources or causes of the contamination, then it becomes inverse problem. But if you know the different uh, cause or different types of contamination, you know the type of the media, you know the location of the contaminant, then you can predict the transport of the pollutants from one place to another one, then it becomes direct. So first thing required to solve any problem is fully identify the problem, then formulate the problem, and then you can find out the solution depending upon techniques available. Now, second important aspect is about the techniques. Because I am going to talk about the soft computing. So a perspective in the technique is that it can be conventional technique or it can be non-conventional technique. So in conventional technique, you need to use certain numerical methods. All numerical problems, either you can solve it analytically or numerically, then it is conventional problem. So there are lots of conventional methods. Similarly, because soft computing is in the domain of non-conventional technique. So non-conventional technique, conventional technique is also called hard computing. Non-conventional soft computing is one of the non-conventional technique, and it is also needs to be noted that all non-conventional technique cannot be called soft computing. So as we proceed further, it will be clear which one we can call soft computing. But the perspective is that whatever conventional technique you use to solve a particular engineering problem, you can also solve that problem using soft computing. So I am going to give my presentation. First, I will briefly have general background of the soft computing, then its constituents, what are major constituents. It is not a closed chapter. That means we don't know all constituents of the soft computing. lots of techniques are still adding in that. But broadly, we'll discuss three major constituents, or you can say conventional soft computing techniques, that is artificial neural network, fuzzy, and genetic algorithm. So with that background, I start. So this is outline, general introduction of computing, soft computing. Soft computing is also called bioinspired because most of the, or the word soft is all, one of the reason to call it soft because it has some biological background. So it is also called bioinspired. Then components of soft computing, artificial neural network, fuzzy, and genetic algorithm, and some application as time will permit. So computational techniques have become an essential part to solve any engineering problem, as I also told you in the beginning. In the engineering, education, or research, it is inevitable. You cannot do without computational techniques. Depending upon the type of problems at hand, the knowledge of relevant computational tools help us to solve engineering problems and facilitates the conducting of research and development in engineering, management, and sciences. So in management also, what I was discussing, the different types of problems as a structured problem, unstructured problem. One middle classification is also there, that is called semi-structure. So in the management, the pyramid is reversed. Top is your unstructured problem. That means top brass of the management, whether it is some industry or institutions, face unstructured problem because different type of problem is coming that may not have well-defined solution or to identify basic inputs and outputs. So at the top it is unstructured, then in the middle it is semi-structure, and the lower base of the pyramid is a structure problem. That is well-defined rule that if this will be there, then you can do that. So in management also such type of classification of problems is there. So is computing is calculating or more? So if we see the, I hope my voice is good coming. Hello. Okay.
So, like in between, this voice is getting cut. So, but it's okay. You can continue. If there's any
So
problem,
I
we'll tell you.
think I can remove this one. I think this is creating problem.
Okay.
I have one. So in the middle, it's some cut is also there, voice.
Yes, some voice cut is there.
So let me first. So I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello.
You are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I removed that. So I think direct using speaker is better.
Okay, sir.
So now it is visible and I am audible, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So definition, formal definition you can have for the computing. The systematic study of algorithmic processes that describe and transform information for problem solutions, their theory, analysis, design, efficiency, implementation, and application. And as I told you that broad classification is hard computing and soft computing. So all conventional techniques you can have hard computing, and non-conventional techniques, though all non-conventional techniques you can not say soft computing, but whatever soft computing techniques are there, you can call non-conventional. So soft computing, the fusion of methodology designed to model and enable solution to real world problems which are not modeled or too difficult to model mathematically. Soft computing is not a mixture or combination, rather it is partnership in which each of the components, partners, techniques contributes a distinct methodology for addressing a problem, its domain. It simply means that it may not be integrating, but it presents a union of different methodology that are developed independently. So in principle, the consumer methodology in soft computing that are slightly obstructed. But it will not go down, I think. In consumer methodology in soft computing, is rather complementary other than competitive. So these are some of the basic differences. One more difference table is there. So hard computing precisely stated and analytical model, numerical models, all will come under hard computing, and it will be tolerant to imprecision, uncertainty, partial truth, and approximation. So most of the soft computing are tolerant to uncertainty or imprecision. That means if either you have noise in the data or some not, you can say precise data, then also it is able to perform. Hard computing based on CRISP systems, binary logic, numerical analysis, whereas soft computing are based upon fuzzy logic, neural nets, probabilistic reasoning. So, and most important is soft computing techniques like neural network works in parallel. Whereas most of the hard computing techniques are work in sequence or in series. So essence of soft computing accommodation with the pervasive imprecision of the real world. But the real world is always uncertain and imprecise. And main principle of soft computing, it exploits uncertainty to achieve robustness and better rapport with the reality. So in the subsequent slide, also it has been made more clear. One related field is artificial intelligence. If intelligence can be reduced induced in machines, it is called artificial intelligence. Soft computing is also a part of artificial intelligence techniques, close related to machine intelligence and computational intelligence. So this is about expert system. That was, you can say, earlier a artificial intelligence machine. So you have first need to feed the database all the information you need about certain problem. Also, you provide depending upon domains. So suppose you want to solve IT problem, so you want to sell health related problems. So depending upon domain, uh, all the necessary information of the question and its answer is fed. And when this system is made, then for any question, a response is obtained. So that was known as expert system. So as I told you that soft computing technique need not be intersecting. So, but it is umbrella, or you can say union, in which you can keep it and then call it soft computing. From conventional AI to computational intelligence, so conventional AI focus on attempt to mimic human intelligent behavior by expressing it in language forms or symbolic rules. And it manipulates symbols on the assumptions that such behavior can be stored in symbolically structured knowledge bases. So physical symbol system, this is physical symbol system hypothesis. And this is depending upon some of the key parameters. You can have corresponding part of artificial intelligence and soft computing. Suppose about the concept. So AI based upon concept of artificial intelligence and targets to make machine intelligent. So it is also one basic things here needs to be required, that computer, to make a computer intelligent, requires a lots of resources and skill. Whereas for human, a uh, a simple human, you can say, suppose someone has to recognize the face. So if we have seen certain faces, even 10 years ago, we will able to recognize whether that person is expert or have highest degree, or whether that person is only literate. He will recognize the face. So it is easy for human being, because human being have basic intelligence to work in this field. But to making a computer to recognize a face, that means making a computer intelligent, you need resource. That means you have to have very computational intensive computer, as well as you have to have also skilled programmer. So you can see how much difficult to make a computer to work as intelligence. So these branches of the AI, so cognitive computers, I'm not going to read all about that. Applications, aim of the AI system is making machines intelligent. Soft computing, aim of the soft computing is to address uncertainty and imprecision of the problem. So here you can have finally accepted definition of the soft computing. It's an umbrella of computational techniques that tolerates imprecision, uncertainty, ambiguity, and partial truth. Partial truth, absolute truth is 0 and 1, whether that is possible or not possible. But soft computing also deals with partial truth, between 0 and 1 also, with different degree of possibility. Soft computing includes principal constraints as fuzzy logic system, neural networks, and probabilistic reasoning. Subsuming belief networks, genetic algorithm, chaotic programming, and parts of machine learning. That definition was given by Jade as in 2 papers work is there. One was published in 1997 and another was 2001. So Jade gave the word soft computing, and also he is, you can say, father of fuzzy logic system. So here same thing is represented. Soft computing main components, neural network, fuzzy, and G. So another way to call it, why we can call it a soft computing, against hard, crisp, or rigid. So here you can note on that one may see soft computing as an attempt to mimic natural creatures. So I in the beginning I told you, because calling it soft computing is also reason because most of the techniques have origination from biological sciences. So maybe plants, animals, human beings, sorry. Which are soft, flexible, adaptive, and clever. So you can see here this soft, the word soft, because that plants, animals, humans. So for that, it is the soft word is also used. Otherwise, formal definition is as what was given by the Jade. In this sense, soft computing is the name of family of problem-solving methods that have analogy with biological reasoning and problem-solving, sometimes referred to as cognitive computing also. The basic methods included in cognitive computing someone is obstructed. So because the cognitive, it is certain functioning of the brain or intelligence is there. So it also comes under broad categories of cognitive. One minute. Principle of soft computing. I think I am audible. Hello. आवाज आ रही है?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guiding principle is integration of soft computing, integration of complementary reasoning that tolerate imprecision, uncertainty, and partial truth to achieve tractability, robustness, and better rapport with reality. So if the problem has imprecision, if the problem is with uncertainty, and also under the partial truth, then Soft computing helps it to make it tractable, robust, and better make it better rapport with the reality. In fact, the role of model for soft computing is the role model of the soft computing is the human mind. So main constraint is fuzzy system, neural networks. Evolutionary computing, that in that I'm going to discuss genetic algorithm. So this is briefly chronology. So you can see that they use the term soft computing terminology in 1981. Evolutionary computing came in 1960. Neural network as early as basic model came given by McCullough in 1943, and fuzzy logic was given by Zadeh itself in 1965. So the major constituents have, you can say, soft computing is also as back as in 1980. Though it's still at most of the places we are lagging to use it, but at the advanced stage, now it's hybrid or different types of hybridization has been used to solve the engineering problems. So these are connection with the biological science of different constituents. Fuzzy system, imprecision, that is human perceptions. Neural network, human brain, evolutionary computing, that is biological evolution or survival of the fittest. So here briefly I want to give you what basically this means. So for human perception, that means human perception is that we first in our mind things come into verbal form. Suppose a very long person enters into a room, class is going on, and a very long person enters into the room. So in the mind of the students and teacher, first things which will come, that so much long person have entered into this. We not think numerically, we think verbally. Similarly, a very small person enters into the room. So our mind perceives that so small people have entered into it. So we don't first make in the mind make measurement that 1 feet 6 inch people enter into the room. So first thing in our mind comes in verbal. So that is way of working of the fuzzy system. About the neural networks, human brain. So there are lots of neurons working in human brains to perceive or process a particular signal. So much students are listening to this lecture. That means their nervous system or neurons are working. I am talking to so much people, so my neurons is also active. So in this way, human mind works. So as a problem solving, the artificial neural network is basic is that it is based upon the working of the human brain. About the genetic algorithm or evolutionary computing, about the biological evolution, or you can say survival of the fittest. So in that we generate lots of solution, which is called population of the solution. And suppose that is initial solution. Suppose 3 variables are there. So we have 3 variables, 3 sets, and suppose I want to keep 100 population. So 100 sets of 3 variables. So that is initial, you can say, solution. So in that way, we have to evaluate each solution, each set. Then depending upon its fitness, we select better working individuals. So then in next iteration, better one will go. So that you can say based upon the survival of the fittest, that better one will only survive and go to the next state. So that is working of genetic algorithm. So you can say that whether it is human perception, whether it is human brain, and whether it is biological evolution or survival of the fittest, all are closely related with the biological science. So these are kept under soft computing techniques. Then there are hybrid system. If you make use of one or more soft computing technique, then you can call it hybrid system. So hybrid, it may be hybrid of fuzzy logic system, hybrid of neural network system, hybrid of evolutionary system. So most popular is your neurofuzzy system. That is hybrid of fuzzy logic system. That means it is basically fuzzy system. If you know the working of the fuzzy system, then you can it is you can understand in that way that it is basically fuzzy system, and in that neural network is being used to generate the membership function. You can see briefly what are working of the fuzzy logic system. So in that membership function is required. So if that part is taken care by the neural network, then it is neurofuzzy system. But it is basically fuzzy system. So you can call it a hybrid fuzzy logic system. Similarly, fuzzy neural network, in there it is basically neural network in which certain weights are required in neural network to so that from a particular set of input you can produce the target, you can produce the your output close to the target value. So that if that weight assigned part is fuzzified, then you can call it hybrid ANN. Similarly, in genetic algorithm, if no, I had started artificial neural network, so I quickly go through the basic. So animals are able to react adapt. So there are about 10 to the power 11 neurons. Uh, you can you are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
Okay, sir.
किसी का वीडियो देख रहा है ठीक. So there are 10 to the power 11 neurons, each connected with 10 to the power 4 other neurons, so that any information is processed. So this is a representation of biological neuron. So you can say dendrites, axon dendrites is that receive input from certain other neurons. Then it is processed from the cell body. Then it is passed to again another neuron through the axon. So in that way, biological neuron works. So these are different figures showing the different characteristics of the biological neuron. So finally, neural network is defined by different, you can say, researcher. And most, I can show you the acceptable one is by Hakin. That is, neural network is a massively parallel distributed network. And it's acquired the knowledge and not, by the network through learning process, and interneuron connection strengths, that is known as synaptic weights, are used to store the knowledge. So basically, neural network input and outputs are matched through the updation of the weights. So we can say that it is an information processing mechanism inspired by the operation of the biological neurons. Uh, by, network, basically you can solve class, classification problem. Classification means you have, if you have similar features, so depending upon some sets of certain features, we can have a class. So in that way, you can have different classes. So that type of problem is called classification. System identification we assume certain parameters about the system. Then depending upon some observed behavior, you can minimize the error between the improvement in the parameter. When we get the minimum error, then you can say that we have identified the parameter. So in that way, different types of engineering problem can be solved by the neural network. So these are, you can say, different development trees of the neural network. And this is also important in what type of work neural network can do better. So it can do better with noisy data compared to computer. Then this is simplest mathematical model of the biological neuron. This is, you can say, processing unit of the artificial neuron. So if you remember that action information passed from one input, from one neuron to another one. So whatever inputs of our problem is there, you can assume to be going to certain biological neuron, and before it is meeting the processing unit, there will be wait. So in biological neuron, it is called synapses. In artificial neuron, it is also called synaptic waits. So and that most important part is here, activation. So usually we use, so whatever inputs are there, its weighted value come into the processing unit. There is also certain bias is used so that it will provide the necessary excitation, and some non-linear function is used to find out the response from this weighted summation. So we will see what different types of activation function can be used. But this is simple one processing unit of the artificial neuron that resemble the biological neuron. So depending upon the problem, you can have a series of these processing units. You may have more than one layer of this processing unit. Depending upon that, you can have single layer artificial network and double layer artificial neural network like that. So similar working is also explained here, considering again more than one input, and finally here activation function. So here both figures of the biological neuron as well as artificial neuron is put together. And here some output, calculated output from the artificial neural network is you can get. So first model was given by Makula and Pitts in 1943. So he used only one layer. So then these are different terminology used. Weights, what is there is weight associated with each input, then bias, a threshold weight associated with a bias value with input of magnitude 1, then summing unit, activation function. So these are different terminology used in the neural network. And this you can have inputs layer, weights, and then main processing units, and finally you can get the output. So output is function of your input and weights. Weights in different processing units, maybe in one layer or more than one layer. And most widely used activation function is that sigmoid function. So you can say also different graphs of the this activation function, linear, logistic, and hyperbolic tangent. I don't know whether that bottom one is obstructing presentation or not. I am not sure. So, and this is radial basis function, that is Gaussian function. This has been also used as activation function. Learning biological system, you can say learning by adaptation. or you can say learning from the examples. So training is performed by deciding on how many hidden, because neural network needs to be first trained. If it is trained, then you can use it for solving your solving, that means predicting from the trained network. So what is, how to fix the architecture of the neural network? For that training is required. So how many nodes should be there and how many layers should be there. So by training we decide that. So it basically comprise two steps. In the first stage, the input data set is used to determine the parameters, and in the second stage, functions are kept fixed while the second layer weights are estimated. So basically, two types of learning is there. One is supervised learning, in which we know the target value. That means we have certain inputs corresponding, we have certain outputs, and from that means we know the target. What is observed output, we can use it as target. Then from the input with assumed weights, our neural network calculates the outputs. Then we compare the calculated outputs with the actual target value and find out the error. That error is again used to modify the weights. So in that data, that is supervised learning. In unsupervised learning, uh, data are presented to the neural network, and depending upon different features of the data, it is classified. So that comes under unsupervised learning. About the architecture of the neural network, you can have perceptron, that is single neuron model, multi-layer perceptron, that means multiple layer of the neural network, and then it can be radial basis functions. So this is, you can say perceptron, or you can say a single processing neural network is only valid for linearly separable problems. So perceptron algorithm converges if examples are linearly separable. But if it is non-linear, the perceptron cannot do that. So that was serious limitation of the neural network, that it cannot solve XOR problem. That is not linearly separable. So that demerit was published by Minsky and Papert in 1969. That perceptron cannot solve XOR problem, that is nonlinear. Almost 10 games in 1969, so more than 10 Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Yes,
Sir. Okay.
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sir.
So after this serious limitation that cannot solve the nonlinear separable problem, then concept of multi-layer perceptron came into the picture. Then it was found that a multi-layer perceptron is able to solve any degree of the nonlinear problems. Then other variety of recurrent of neural network is recurrent neural network. So if some feedback is used in the architecture of the problem, then it's come under recurrent neural network. In basically human brain, we use the feedback. That means there are some always some our processing is improved or modified by feedback. So with that similarity, neural network also feedback based neural network, concept of feedback based neural network is there. That is called recurrent neural network. So in supervised learning, as I told you that depending upon target value, you can find out the error, and with that error, you can modify the weights. In unsupervised learning, we don't need the target, and there is well defined algorithm that is called SOM, self-organizing maps, are usually used to organize the data depending upon different features into different classes. So supervised networks is also called universal approximator. So any limited function can be approximated by network with finite number of hidden neurons. And type of approximator, it can be linear approximator, non-linear approximator. So as I told you that a multi-layer perceptron can be used for non-linear problem with any degree of non-linearity. With suitable architecture, that means suitable training with uh, certain number of nodes and number of layers. So finally, NN working is determination of first about depending upon our problem, what is inputs, then collection of data for learning and testing, finding the optimum number of hidden nodes, estimate the parameters, evaluate the performance of the network. If performance are not satisfactory, then we can again either increase the number of nodes or number of layers. So backpropagation algorithm is one of the most popular algorithm to train the neural network. So it can summarized in 3 steps. For the given inputs, computes the error term for the output units using the observed error, that is target minus calculated y values. And when you know the error, then that error is used to modify the weights from outer layer to the inner layer. So it is called backpropagation. So it is called feed forward because signal input to output. So it is feed forward. and it is back propagation, feed forward back propagation, because correction of bits is from output layer to input. So depending upon accuracy required, you can have number of iterations to do this correction of weights. So this is mathematical representation of the back propagation algorithm that is available in any literature, any textbook. So this final term is used to update the weight. So in that way, weights are updated on up to the time when the output estimated by neural network almost matches with the observed output. So this is error surface. That means depending upon weight modified, you can have minimum error. So conclusion on neural networks, you can have neural networks are utilized as statistical tools, adjust nonlinear function to fulfill a task, need of multiple representative examples, but fewer than in other methods. Neural networks enable to model complex static phenomena. Neural networks are good classifiers. So there are lots of application of the neural network that can be made using the basic concepts of the neural network. Then next is fuzzy systems, very important soft computing constraint. So as the complexity of a system increases, it becomes more difficult and eventually impossible to make a precise statement about its behavior, eventually arriving at a point of complexity where the fuzzy logic method born in humans is the only way to get the problem. So if the problem is straight, not need to use the fuzzy. So even the mathematical model, even you not need to use the soft computing. Suppose for a particular, if you velocity and acceleration, how much distance can be traveled, a simple formula can do that. So here, your output is distance to be traveled with your velocity and time. So that is also a system to find out the your output, but this system have very stage. So this a simple formula you can do. Not need to do the neural network or fuzzy. But when you don't have well-defined inputs and you need to solve the problem, then fuzzy, you can use the fuzzy system. So where the system is imprecise, system is highly uncertain, so only fuzzy logic, it may not have very good result, but you can solve the problem. So this is possible solution set, and in that expected solution set is there. That already I have discussed when I was discussing the soft computing. So usually in fuzzy, heavy, lighter terms are used. So here a picture is there. This box is too heavy. Therefore, we need to make it lighter. And this is Professor Zadeh, you can say pioneer of the fuzzy logic. So this is from the web resources, these things are. So experts rely on common sense when they solve the problems. How we represent expert knowledge that uses vague and ambiguous terms in computer. Fuzzy logic is not logic that is fudgy. That is also important. in system or in theory, there is no problem. It is not fuzzy. It is clear-cut steps are there to implement it. It addresses the fuzziness of the problem. That is used to describe the not logic that is used to describe the fuzziness of precise. So fuzzy logic is the theory of fuzzy set that describes the vagueness. Fuzzy logic is based upon the idea that all things admit of degrees. So temperature, height, speed, distance, all come on sliding scale. So it is just the opposite to the Boolean logic, which is 0 and 1, and it is different degree between 0 and 1, that when you represent the sets in that way, then you are representing in fuzzy system. So these are different definitions. Classical set versus fuzzy set. So if X belongs to A, then it has full membership function. If X does not belongs to A, then it does not. So that is your classical set or crisp set. But in fuzzy, there is membership function which can be between 0 to 1. And this is different shape of the membership function. You can assume it as a triangular, you can assume it as Gaussian. So if values of certain parameters or range is 0, that means certainly not possible value. And if membership is 1, that is certainly possible values. And in between, you can have different degree of possibilities. So this is trapezoidal shape. Suppose you have data about some of the people height in that way. So, and if you call that greater than 175 is large, so you can have such type of membership function in crisp and fuzzy. So between 30 centimeter to 250 centimeter, you can have three types of partition of the fuzzy set. First is short, between 30 to 100, about the 100. Then medium, and greater than 170, you can have tall. So that is one of the way to representing partition with the linguistic variable using fuzzy sets. Similarly, that is to represent the temperature. And some of the definition of the fuzzy set: support of A, that base is called support of A. Alpha cut, because if you have certain membership function, so you can have for any, if you discretize the y-axis, that is membership function, so different level of discretization is your alpha cut. So for each alpha cut, there are two values. One is that is lower one, and other is that is higher one. So this is alpha cut is one of way to represent fuzziness in any variable, whether you fully know the fuzzy system or don't know the fuzzy system. by using the concept of alpha cut, you can address the uncertainty in a particular parameter. So suppose this parameter is certain input. So if you, for one alpha cut, you have two inputs, one lower one and higher one. So if you are using that to find out output, then your output, you are also getting two output value. So using different alpha cut, you can construct the membership function of the outputs also. So in that way, you can address the uncertainty in output if you know the uncertainty in alpha, in input. So that base represent your uncertainty. Otherwise, in deterministic model, this medium average value or mid value is only used. But if you are using fuzzy, you are using a shape, this shape value. That means this represents your uncertainty. So these are different operations: intersection, union, concentration. So these are different terminology. Then sometimes people confuse with fuzzy and probability. So these are entirely different concepts. So suppose we have a glass of water, and if someone said that potability of the water is probability of the potability, that is for drinking, is 0.9. That means at least 0.1% chances that it is not, it should not be consumed. It may be poison also. But if someone says that membership function of that glass of water in terms of potability is 0.9, then it cannot be poison. So when it can be poison only when its membership is near about 0. So that is one of the way to think the fuzzy and probability. And about the representation, suppose we flip the coin or represent the dice. So suppose dice have 6 numbers, so probability of each one is 1 by 6. But suppose I am someone using the linguistic term, a small, medium and high, then 1 to 3 will come under a small, 3 to 1 to 5 medium, and your 3 to 6 will come under big. So in that way, representation, if you have 1 by 6 representation probability, and that is way of representing your probability. So these are different functions to conceptualize the shape of the fuzzy. That is also sometimes this terminology used to represent the about certain numerical value. So suppose any we are going to address about the bearing capacity of the soil or the strength of certain material. So generally we use a single value. So in actual sense, bearing capacity of soil cannot be a single value. Whatever precise our measurement, or you can say instrumentation or experimentation is there. So you might have certain experimentation, but soil is in nature, natural soil is highly heterogeneous. So one of the way to represent uncertainty in that value is to represent by about. So your average value is your that we keep one membership function. If you know the standard deviation, so mean minus one standard deviation or two standard deviation, you can have lower base. Similarly, mean plus standard deviation or two standard deviation, you can have higher base. So in that way, a deterministic value can be converted into fuzzy value, and then either using the alpha cut or if then we'll see later, if then rules, we can model the system in fuzzy terms. Then conceptualizing in fuzzy terms, so these are different terminology used. Fuzzy proposition and fuzzy logic. Certain fuzzy variables with their fuzzy value. Truth value of a fuzzy proposition is x is a is given by the membership function m. So proposition is usually associated with its membership function. So I think I move to extension principle is one of the method in fuzzy in which if there is functional relationship between inputs and outputs, and we know the membership of input, we can find out the membership of output. That is for that extension principle is used. Fuzzy if then rules, if you have certain observed value or if you have certain expertise about the system, then what are possible relationship between input and output? So we connect input and output by fuzzy if then rules. Similarly, fuzzy reasoning, you have when you use some certain controllers, so in that fuzzy reasoning is used. So the also fuzzy relations is important for processing the relation between inputs and outputs. So I think because I think half an hour is there. Yeah. So I quickly go to its main. I am skipping that, otherwise it may take half an hour itself. So this is one example of extension principle. If you have representation of A, and if you want to find out membership of B, these are membership function, these are elements. That is representation of fuzzy system. And if this is functional relationship to find out B, so we get for each value of B. So what will be membership of value B? So we can use that extension. Then these are some of the rules to connect relations. And this is if then rules, which is important for creating the fuzzy rule based system. So if X is A is called antecedent or premise, and Y B is called consequent or conclusion. So you can make rules like if pressure is high, then volume is small. So these are antecedent, and the term after then is called consequence. So in that way, if then rules are made. So this is important steps in which you can make the fuzzy based system. First, to identify the input and output, then for each variable, whether input or output, whether an input variable or a result variable, a set of membership functions must be defined. A membership function defines the degree to which the value of variable belongs to the group and is usually a linguistic term such as high or low. Then statements or rules are defined that relate the membership function of each variable to the result, normally through a series of if-then statements. So first thing is specify input and output. Then depending upon the observed value of input and output, you have to make if-then statement. So suppose x1 and x2 are two inputs and y is one of the output, then it is like, and we have specified low, medium, high for x1, low, medium, high for x2. So total rules can be 9. Low, first one can be low, second one can be low. And if first one is low, second can be medium. So all combinations of rules can be 9. So in that way, depending upon specification and depending upon number of variables, rules, if then rules are created. So for that, you need either data sets that tell you the relationship, or you have experts. Like here, you are saying if pressure is high, then volume is small. So either with the established relation, you can make this statement. Similarly, depending upon your problem, you can construct the if-then rules. The rules are mathematically evaluated and the results are combined. Each rule is evaluated through a process called implication, and the results of all the rules are combined in process called aggregation. So here your what I have escaped max min composition and max, that is your concept of relation and composition is used to finally evaluate these rules. Then resulting function, finally we get the result fuzzified output, and we need to defuzzify it to finally again get the answer in the crisp form. So that is basically, you can say, core of the fuzzy system, these steps. Of course, you can implement using the MATLAB. So this is different steps. So I am skipping this. I am skipping this. Otherwise, basically this is all discussing each components of this require 1 semester. So whatever I feel that is important, I am going to discuss. These are defuzzification. So one of the defuzzification method is your centroid method. So if you get the fuzzified output, that means it may be different shape. So you can, using this centroid method, you can defuzzify. That is center of gravity method to defuzzify. So there are other methods to also defuzzify. There is a, when you have all the inputs in fuzzy term, then it is called Mamdani system. When a singleton or mere precisely a fuzzy singleton is used as fuzzy, uh, or you can say functional term is used to represent the output, then it is called Suzhou system. So generally when you work with neuro-fuzzy system, then it comes under Suzhou. Otherwise, when you use the MATLAB, so your rule-based system is basically a Mamdani system. So I quickly move to GA. Genetic algorithm. As I told you that only fittest is survive in the environment. That is a law of nature. So if certain weak plants are there, it usually die down. Or weak in animals are there, that usually die down. Their population deplete with time. But if there is a strong species are there, and strong plants are there that get more energy from the environment, so their population usually increases. So that was theory of Charles Darwin, that is origin of a species. So there are other issues related to that, or you can say restriction to that, that there also adaptation should be there. Otherwise, dinosaur was also mighty, but it could not adapt it to the environment, so its population died down. So adaptability is also important, but in general, fittest survive. So depending upon that principle, genetic algorithm has been used. So it creates a population of solution, evaluate the fitness of the solution, and more fit solution are only allowed to go into the next generation. So in that way, you can relate with the biological science of the that was given by Darwin, that is theory of evolution. So if we quickly show the chronology, so in 1970, Holland, De Jong and Goldberg. These are people which worked in evolutionary techniques, particularly GA. Goldberg was first popularized the GA. And in India, Kalyan Dev was there in IIT Kanpur. Now I think he moved to US. So he was a student of Goldberg, Dr. Kalyanmay Dev, in mechanical department in the IIT Kanpur. So he popularized the GA, not at India level, but also at international level. But in India particularly, GA people started working with the motivation from the Kalyan method. So these are some of the features. Original GA was also called simple genetic algorithm. So these are different components: representation, mutation, crossover, and selection. So I'll skip this. So as I told you, that it started with population, then fitness of population is checked depending upon objective function. So here one thing you also have more to make it clear, that GA is used for optimization problem. Whereas neural network and fuzzy, it can be used where you know the input output relationship. Either you know the input, suppose in the beginning I discussed about the indirect problem. Suppose you know the loading, different types of loading. You have certain measure to certain experiments to find out the deflection corresponding to loading. So in that way, you have data of your output hello
Yes, sir.
hello
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes. So I think I should conclude GA. So quickly, I can show this flow chart how GA works. So it initialize population, evaluate solution. It is most unlikely that in one iteration you can get the satisfactory and you stop. So then you can have different processes to go to next generation, selection, crossover, mutation, and in that way you get the optimum solutions. So I think because time is limited, so I quickly go to one example problem, real example problem. That is prediction of nitrate pollution in groundwater. So how you can use the fuzzy logic about the problem? It is suppose certain fertilizer have been used in the fields, so it is polluting the groundwater. So there are certain information have been collected. One is about the how much fertilizer has been used in the field. Second information is how much groundwater recharge is there, and third information is how groundwater is contaminated. So using these three information, two has been used as input, uh, quantity of fertilizer used, and your recharge of the groundwater. These two has been used as input, and uh, con contamination, nitrate contamination has been used as an output. So you can see how fuzzy can be used. In MATLAB, if you type fuzzy, you can get the fuzzy editor. So in that, there is a way to find out the assign the number of inputs. Here, input is 1 or 2. You can have uh, increase the inputs and increase the outputs. And also here, there are triangular membership function. Also, you have option to choose here trapezoidal or any shape membership function. So in that way, you can code the problem. So depending upon value of fertilizer is, it has been 80 to 140. I think in quintal or tons it has been used. So low, medium, you can have equal partitions. So like that, 3 partitions are for fertilizer, 3 partitions for groundwater recharge, and 3 partitions for nitrate pollution have been used. This is in ppm. So in that way, rules have been created, and with that rules, you can see these are parameters which have been used to assess the performance of the fuzzy model. So you can say here that correlation at least 0.98 up to 0.98 correlation coefficient, normalized error 0.4, and modal efficiency up to 4.5 have been used. So in that way, for real problems, you can use the fuzzy computations. So I think with this, I can open this session for question. Yes, Dr. Prachi.
Yes, sir. So all the participants, if there are any question, please put it in the chat box. So I will read the questions to sir and sir will answer it. And also the feedback link is posted in the chat box. According to each batch number, you can go through this and you'll get your certificates. Any questions? Batch 10 feedback link will also be shared by Bhanu sir.
Okay, ma'am.
What is the minimum amount data set required to get proper prediction in ANN?
Minimum data set required
To get proper prediction in ANN. He also added that if I have a 300 sample data, is it enough? Hello, sir. Your voice is not clear.
number of data required. Hello.
Hello, Prachi ma'am.
Hello. Data set is at least about the number of weights. So if you have one, depending upon number of inputs and number of layers, number of nodes in a particular layer, you can find out the total weights. So we already know that for unique solution, we should have at least so much relationship as the unknowns. So at least number of data sets should be at least number of weights. One guidelines is also there that at least 10 times data sets should be there as the number of weights. So it is not depending upon available data, you can use the number of data weights. Otherwise, for limited data case, also neural network is being used. So in that way, you need to search the number of nodes and number of layers. Okay. Any other question?
Oh.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, wait a second. It's a question from Dr. P. Sundar Kumar. How to predict the runoff from rainfall using ANN?
Runoff from rainfall.
Using ANN.
First we need to create the data set. So of course you have rainfall data for a particular area or particular region. So to make input-output relationship, you also need to have runoff data. Runoff data you can get either from some gauge sites with that particular area. Suppose in certain area there might be a river. So if you have measured data of the river, that you can have get the runoff. Otherwise, there are empirical relationship to find out the runoff. So with that, you first need to create the data set for a particular rainfall. How much runoff is there? Suppose you have made the data set, then you can train the network. You have one input rainfall and output as runoff. So if you train your model with these data sets, then for any particular rainfall, you can predict the runoff.
Yes, sir.
But first data set is required for training the neural network.
Okay, sir. So we got a lot of good feedback for this session as well. And I would request Bhanu sir to give this vote of thanks. Bhanu sir?
Okay, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chief Patron Dr. G. Srinivas Reddy Garu, General Secretary and Chairman of Sri Vageshwari Educational Society, Srinivas Reddy Garu, Joint Secretary, Sri Vageshwari Educational Society, Esteemed Organizing Chair, Dr. C. H. Srinivas Garu, Principal of Vageshwari College of Engineering, beloved speakers, my fellow beings, and dear aspirants, I, Bhanu Prakash, on behalf of Vageshwari College of Engineering and entire staff would like to express sincere gratitude towards the eminent speakers of this program of a 5-day online faculty development program on emerging trends in civil engineering and their application. There was a quote which proved in recent that someday everything stops, but sharing of knowledge and wisdom never further. I am very much thankful to our speakers. I mentioned our deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Prabhakar Shukla sir, hub scientist IIT Delhi, for his tremendous effort in groundwater modeling and sharing his vision and thoughts, in spite of having busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir. Further, we grateful to Dr. Varun Singh sir, Associate Professor of Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad, for demonstrating GIS modeling and how it plays an important role in intelligent transportation system. Thank you, sir. I may like to express our sincere gratitude towards Dr. Pramod Soni sir, Assistant Professor, Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad. He pursued his research in a prestigious program, DAAD, a German academic exchange service, and his views on climatic change clarified many doubts. I personally feel responding towards aspirants was awesome. Thank you, sir. I also wish to express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Shambhavi Mishra Madam, whose work and effort on intelligent transportation system was really enlightening the views of aspirants. Thank you to you for that really, ma'am. I express my sincere gratitude from my bottom of heart to Dr. Raj Mohan Singh, sir, Professor of Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, for his contribution in the field of problems in emerging and their computing techniques by soft skills was really brings a tremendous change in the field of engineering, and his demonstration shows how important this skill for the engineering field. Thank you very much, sir. Hope one day we will you have, sir, on our college for faculty development program. And finally, tremendous support from the aspirants given a positive energy for conducting more program for enlightening. Looking forward for that, I need to mention the effort of our coordinators and faculty members to make this program a huge success. Thank you one and all. Finally, on behalf of our chairman sir, joint secretary sir, and principal sir, I thank once again all the eminent speakers and looking forward for more program. Hope that your support will always with us. Thank you.
And all the speakers and all the aspirants. Thank you, sir. RM Singh, sir,
Thank
thank you
you.
for joining us today.
Thank you all. Okay. I think I can leave.